Yet again, we see Bitcoin dropping. The crypto market taking a bit of a hit over the last 24 hours. But is this the end? Why are so many people calling the bull run over, or are they all wrong? And the smart people are accumulating even more crypto. We're going to break down some key charts that you guys absolutely have to see, and what are the experts in the field saying about this market correction. All of that in this video, so go ahead, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Every day I'm working my socks off to make sure your portfolios are absolutely dialed in, and sneak peek, you don't sell too soon. All right, let's get into this video. It's a good one. So you will have seen the charts over the course of the last few days, and equally here on the weekly, Bitcoin is finished. It's going at zero, or so many people would have you to believe. The fact of the matter is, it's not true. Our charts are telling us a completely different story. And if you think about where the overall market's going to go, this is a great opportunity, as we talk about on my live streams. By the way, 4 p.m. in every single day, Eastern Standard Time. Come and check them out. Is that, well, this is just a time to accumulate even more, DCA into those positions and hold firm. Let those people that believe the market's over sail off into the sunset with what little profits they have, while the rest of us sit here with the opportunity of a lifetime. That's not to say, by the way, you shouldn't be taking profits on the way up. You can't sit there with a little bit of stable coin ready for this exact moment. But we'll talk about the news in just a second. Why is this so important? Well, look, we saw this break between the lines here on the weekly so many times. And then what happened? The price went way higher. And look, exactly the same is coming in right now, exactly where we sit here on the top end of the chart. Now, the other thing to think about, something I've been working on and certainly using recently, is this new indicator that I've got. It basically takes RSI, MACD, and a number of other indicators and sort of puts them all into one individual indicator that tells us exactly what is going on in the market. And what you can see here is that every time we have dipped below this line, we have then seen a nice macro move to the upside every single time. Now, we are at this exact infraction point again where we're seeing the same happen here with the price. Therefore, my view is we may even come down, retest the 50-day exponential moving average at 96,000. Could be pretty painful before I think a blast off to the upside. And remember, ETFs as well as institutions are freaking buying the dip. So don't be on the sidelines. Look for those opportunities. If you want to know more, join our live stream or hit the free Discord in the description where we talk about all these things in there as well. So history tells us, though, that right now we're in a very interesting point, down about 6.8% here on Bitcoin for the month of August, going into traditionally a pretty bearish September. However, if you look at 2024 and 2023, both of those were actually green months for Bitcoin, and that could continue the pattern on. 2025 may shock a lot of people as markets turn bullish ahead of rate cuts and all the macro data that's going on. This could absolutely signal. And remember, when we talk about the fact that we could see more sentiment to the upside, look at this. Institutional demand for Bitcoin is skyrocketing. They actually purchased 6 times the amount of Bitcoin this year than they did last year. The actual bull market Bitcoin run race is on. Everyone is trying to get as much Bitcoin as they can because they know exactly what is happening. Listen to this. Eric Trump giving a very important speech over at Bitcoin Asia, and he said exactly this about Bitcoin.
You've got nation states that are buying the hell out of Bitcoin. You've got Fortune 500 companies that are buying the hell out of Bitcoin. I mean, you've got the biggest families, you've got the biggest companies on earth that believe in this digital store of value. Everybody wants Bitcoin. Everybody is buying Bitcoin. And that's an incredible thing. And that's why I've always said that I really believe in the next several years, Bitcoin hits $1 million. There's no question Bitcoin hits $1 million. And when you're in the room with certain people, and I had breakfast this morning with, you know, a couple of the most powerful people in the region in the hospitality space, and you're literally sitting there trying to explain to them what digital currency is, you realize how early we all are to this race and how big of a benefit that is, right? I hear from people all the time, you know, should I get into cryptocurrency? Did I miss it? Am I too late? And I literally start laughing at them. I go, we haven't even scratched the surface of what Bitcoin is going to be. We haven't even scratched the surface of what digital assets are going to be. This is the time to buy. Volatility is your friend. Buy right now. Shut your eyes. Hold it for the next 5 years.
So if he's bullish, and bear in mind when he talks about sitting at the most powerful tables, seeing who's buying, he would know. His dad's the freaking president of the United States of America. Absolutely bullish statement coming out of Eric Trump there, and hard to believe that we are not going significantly higher. Now, with all that being said, and the optimism back is returning to us, what actually happened? Why is Bitcoin and the crypto markets giving us this opportunity? Well, it's important to reference stocks as well. If we see risk assets selling off and stocks holding up, like we've seen for the last couple of days, you sort of think, well, maybe Bitcoin is in a problem. Maybe there is a genuine movement out of this and de-risking the potential of rate cuts not coming. And more importantly, this kind of craziness coming out of the Trump administration, fire this Federal Reserve individual, fire that person, means that people de-risk. And that's exactly what we've seen in the market. However, that's the same in terms of stocks. Dow, S&P 500 and the NASDAQ all took a dump, along with Strategy and Coinbase shares as well, as a big liquidation event came into the market. And like we said, people just simply de-risk. They want to go into cash. If we take a look at what happened in terms of treasuries, we can see here the 1 month treasury did go up about 0.25% in the last 24 hours, and the 10-year treasury continued to move up over 0.64% as well, telling us that selling off in the stock market, selling off in the crypto market is simply going into treasuries, people de-risking and taking away. And like we said, we actually see a net inflow though into ETFs. So wherever you've got this kind of institutional de-risking, well, they're pretty much bullish on where Bitcoin's going to go because they keep buying more. So with all that being said, and more importantly, all that discussion coming out of Eric Trump, what else would we kind of be looking at to give us a sentiment in the market? Well, look, everybody wants Bitcoin that we've talked about. And actually, we see China's growing role in digital assets. Despite the mainland's ban, he pointed to development of the yuan-backed stablecoins as well as Hong Kong, which basically China is sort of using Hong Kong to bring crypto regulation over to China. And I think this is important as well. So like we said, you know, in the last 24 hours, it's been pretty painful. The macro, by the way, is super crazy bullish. And the other thing that spooked the markets, again, was this. Long silent whales resurfacing. We're seeing profit taking, I guess, at the extreme long holders. And we talk about this again on the live stream, that short-term holders are selling for a loss. Long-term holders are accumulating, the extremes of that. And remember, 24,000 Bitcoin was sold only a matter of a few days ago. Well, that whale is up to his own tricks again. We could see a $20,000 Bitcoin dump on the chart, about $2 billion. What could that do? Maybe we start to push down, as we talked about right at the very start of this video, where maybe Bitcoin comes in and tests some of these lower ranges. Maybe we head down towards that 93K CME gap and that bottoming potentially on that move before, in my opinion, by the way, a big move to the upside. And someone actually asked me in my live stream, well, how do we get to the end of year, or how do we get to the end of October, November with a bullish price prediction when the markets look like it is? The fact of the matter is we only need a couple of percent every day, and BTC is at 150K before we know it. And the fact that if we see this continuation of institutional buy-in, we may even see it go way, way higher than it is right now. The other couple of things to be very, very mindful of: BTC dominance continues to head down, and is actually a very critical point here on the weekly candles that we may start to see a little bit further pushing up. Now, this is two reasons why this is good. It means that people are still buying Bitcoin aggressively, but we don't want it to go too high. We don't want to be back in this yellow box because we want to see the ETH versus BTC dominance continue to move to the upside. This means capital's flowing into those altcoin markets. And the other thing we need to see is USDT dominance continue to come down. Again, think about the macro of where we sit right now on this. This, ladies and gentlemen, is absolutely a downward trend. It keeps on going down. And this is very important. And this is why the opportunity is in front of us to DCA, buy more, or simply hold your bags and not get shaken out. In my opinion, it's a very obvious move. If you track the wallets coming out of things like Binance, Wintermute, and many others, this is another attempt to get you to sell. In my view, by the way, never financial advice on this channel. All we do is talk about cryptocurrency every single day and try and keep you dialed in. But these are the moments that truly test you in bull markets. When you think we're on the way up, when you think new all-time highs are coming, somehow the market has this way of humbling you, but the strong survive and the weak sell. That's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And as always, don't forget, do check out the links. We've got Bitunix down there, a brilliant exchange, as well as our totally free Discord that you can join and get all the alpha and the community members you need. Right, with that being said, I'm out of here. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.